Hey everyone, Math 105. This is Lesson 3, Simplifying Expressions. So we're going to start off by simplifying with multiplication. So when multiplying a constant by a variable expression, we multiply the constant by the coefficient and then leave the variable parts exactly the same. So we'll take negative 3 multiplied by 6 to get negative 18, and the variable part stays x, y squared. Your turn, number 1. And just a reminder, I don't pause the video, so go ahead and pause it, do the problem, and restart. All right, 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. And the variable part remains x to the third, y, z squared. One of the properties we're going to be using, this is one of the most important properties in algebra, is the distributive property. And this takes effect when we have a number or a variable outside parentheses. And what we can do then is take that, and since any number or variable next to parentheses, the operation there is multiplication, what we're going to do is we're going to multiply by every term inside the parentheses. So the terms are what's separated by addition and subtraction. So the two terms inside the parentheses here are x and 2. So we'll multiply 5 times x, keeping that sign exactly the same in between the operations. And then we do 5 times 2. So let's compare doing distribution versus order of operations. Right, so evaluate both of these using those two methods. All right, first one, we'll multiply in 4 times 2, gives us 8. Keeping the plus in between, 4 times 5 is 20. So that's 8 plus 20, or 28. All right, now we'll do what we did before with order of operations. So we got 4 times 2 plus 5 is 7, working inside the parentheses first, and then multiply to get 28. So whichever method we use, we get the same result. Now with this one, I'm going to distribute in. We have 3 terms, so we'll do 3 multiplications. 3 times 4 is 12, keeping the plus. 3 times x is 3x, another plus. 3 times y is 3y. Your turn, number 3. So this one is actually the same problem, except the 3 is to the right instead of to the left. But it's exactly the same thing. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times y is 3y. So it doesn't matter which side of the parentheses the number of variable goes on. Part B. Now with this one, we have 4 terms inside the parentheses. So we're going to do 4 multiplications. So 4 times 6 is 24. 4 times 2x. Now we're going to multiply the constant by the coefficient to get 8. So that's 8x. And then here, 4 times 5 is 20. So that is 20y. Notice each step of the way we're doing exactly what we did here. Just multiplying what's on the outside by the coefficient, and the variable parts stay exactly the same. And now we're doing 4 times negative 3, that's negative 12. Oops, don't need a parentheses anymore. And that reminds me, once you distribute, and this is very important when we get into more complex expressions, once you distribute, remove the parentheses. What I never want to see is someone distribute and then leaving parentheses in there. That just gets confusing. All right, next up, what we've been distributing up till now is positive numbers. We have to be very careful when we distribute negative numbers. Notice that when we distribute positive numbers, all the signs stayed exactly the same. Positive, positive, negative, positive, positive, negative. And a positive on the 6 as well, and the 24. But when we distribute negative in, let's see what happens. Negative 6 times 2 is negative 12. And negative 6 times negative 3 is 18. So what's happened here? We went from positive on the first term to negative, and on the second term, negative to positive. And that's what happens every time you distribute a negative value inside the parentheses, it's going to change the sign on every turn. So there's a check you can do at the end. Make sure you got all your signs right. Your turn number 4. So negative 2 times x, negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 8, that's going to change to positive. Negative times negative is a positive. So negative 2x plus 16. And we've gone from positive to negative, negative to positive. Now this one looks a little different because all we have out front is a negative sign. But this is exactly the same as negative 1 distributed in. So we're just multiplying by negative 1. Negative 1 times negative 2 is positive 2, so that's positive 2x. Negative 1 times positive 5, that's negative 5. So change the sign both times. Negative to positive, positive to negative. So we might have anything inside the parentheses. It's very common to multiply by a polynomial like this, where you've got exponents and stuff. All right, it's going to work the same way. 3 times 2 is 6, so that's 6, leaving x squared as the variable part. All right, 3 times the negative sign means negative 1, so 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. And plus 30. Your turn, number 5. Part A, 5 times 4 is 20, keeping the variable part x, y. 5 times negative 7 is negative 35, x. 5 times 2 is 10, so we get 10y there. And 5 times negative 6 is negative 30. I'm going to do a sign check. We're distributing a positive value, so the signs stay the same. Positive, positive, negative, negative, positive, positive, negative, negative. It's a good thing to do after every problem like that. Part B. So the first one, negative 7 times 2, that's negative 14. Keep an x, y, z. Now negative 7 times negative 3 is positive 21. And we got x to the 5th there. Now with simplifying expressions, you got to make sure we do 3 things to have a fully simplified expression. First of all, distribute into any parentheses. And then we're going to do what's called combining like terms. And then if there are any leftover arithmetic operations, do those. Now, got a few vocabulary words, terms and factors. So a term is the product or quotient of numbers and variables, and things could be raised to a power. So here's some terms. For example, we got 2 multiplied by an x. So multiplication is okay to have. You can have multiple variables, x third, y squared. Whoops. You have 5 over z. Negative 4x to the 4th, y to the 6th. These are all examples of terms. Now what we can do with terms is add them or subtract them. So we could take 3x squared, there's a term, and I'm going to subtract 6xy, there's another term, plus 2. So here are the terms. 3 terms in this one. Now in contrast, you get factors. Which are multiplied together. So we do something called factoring, which is taking an expression and breaking it up into pieces like this that are multiplied together. Now we're going to need to identify what are called like terms. Like terms are terms with exactly the same variable part. The coefficient doesn't matter. We're just looking at the variable part. So here's an example, bunch of terms here, and we're going to find the pairs of like terms. Now it may look like these two are the same because we have the same variables x and y, we have the same exponent, but here the exponent's on the y and here the exponent's on the x. So those two are not like terms, but these two are. Those have exactly the same variable part, x squared y. And then the other two, we got xy here. It doesn't matter if it has a coefficient or not. And then 8xy. Those are the only matching pairs, so these would be unlike terms, unlike the rest. Your turn, number 6. Find the pairs of like terms. Well, this one has a 3 exponent, nothing else does, so that can't be one of them. Now we've got x squared z, so those two match. This one's xz squared, so that one's different. And then we've got these two, negative 2 xz and 5zx. So it's the same variables. We've swapped the order, but with multiplication is commutative. It doesn't matter which way we order. 2 times 3 is the same as 3 times 2. So since it's the same variables and the same exponents, one on both, those are like terms. And now we're going to start simplifying. All right, now we can combine these together. I'm going to show you the justification. You don't need to write this when you do your problems. So what we're doing, I'm going to do the reverse of distribution. It's called factoring, factoring out an A. We're not going to do that in this course, so you don't need to know how to do it. But as you can see, if I then distribute, I get 7A and 4A. So distribution and factoring are the reverse. All right, now we can add these two together. Get A times 11, which is just 11A. So what we've done is just add the two coefficients together. And that's the shortcut. You can do that when you do yours. All right, so since we have like terms, exactly the same variable part, these two can be combined together. So look for pairs of like terms to combine. Your turn, number 7. All right, 3b and 12b, add together 3 and 12 to get 15, keeping the variable part the same. And never change the variable when we're adding. Think of these as representing basketballs. If we add together 3 basketballs and 12 basketballs, we don't get 15 volleyballs. Right? Don't change what we add. All right, now we've got negative 7 plus 3 is negative 4, so that is negative 4x. Now this idea can be extended to any number of terms. So just add up all these numbers. So you got 2 minus 8, that's negative 6. Negative 6 plus 5 is negative 1. Negative 1 minus 3 is negative 4. So combine all those together to get negative 4x. Your turn, number 8. Oh, we got 4x. 4 minus 5 is negative 1. Minus 3 is negative 4. Plus 1 is negative 3. So negative 3x. And for the next one, we got some y squareds here. We got 12 of them and getting rid of 4 of them. So 12 minus 4 is 8. Keeping the variable part exactly the same, we got 8y squared. All right, now we're going to combine both of these concepts together to fully simplify expressions. When we start, we're always going to start with distribution because we don't know, how many of these x's we have until we distribute. All right, so this part stays exactly the same. Make sure you write that part down. Don't leave this off just because we're distributing over here and not working over here. For every step, write down everything. All right, now we're going to distribute 3 times 2, so that's 6x. And we got 3 times 7, and that is 21. All right, now we know how many of each that we have. Now we can combine into like terms. So the two that match are 8x and 6x. Those have the same variable parts. So that's 14x plus 21. Your turn, number 9. Part A. All right, we'll start with distribution. The 2 into these parentheses, leaving the 7 there. I usually like to start by writing down things I'm not working on. That way I don't forget them. All right, now 2 times 4 is 8, so that's 8x. And then 2 times -3 is -6. Now we can combine like terms. 8x, that's alone, so that's going to stay 8x. We'll do 7 minus 6. Remember, the sign precedes what it's attached to. So this is negative on the 6, so it's 7 minus 6. And that is 1, so we get 1 plus 8x. And for the next one, 9x, not touching that one, so keep that there. And 4 times x is 4x. And 4 times 2 gives us 8. Now we can combine the like terms. We got 2 x terms here we can combine. 9 plus 4 is 13, so that's 13x plus 8. And we always have to be careful with the negative signs. It's very easy to misplace one of these. All right, first one. We're going to distribute a negative sign into these parentheses. Remember, all that does is change the sign. It's not going to change any of the terms. So that one becomes negative, and x becomes positive. And leave that 8 on the end. Now we'll combine the 2 constants together. Those are like terms. 8 minus 4 is 4. So this is x plus 4. All right, go ahead and do your turn, number 10, part A. So we're going to distribute that negative sign in. That's going to turn this one positive, so that's 2x, turns this one negative, minus 5. And the -3 stays on the end. Remember, the distribution does not extend outside the parentheses, so that stays negative. So combining the constants together, we get 2x minus 8. Now, the second example was negative 7x minus 2 times 3x minus 4. All right, we're going to distribute -2 into these parentheses. -2 times 3 is -6, so that's minus 6x. -2 times -4 is positive 8. All right, now we can combine these two together. -7 minus 6 is -13, so that's -13x plus 8. Your turn, 10B. All right, we got a -5 to distribute in. We're going to keep that 4x out front. Negative 5 times x is negative 5x. And negative 5 times negative 2 is positive 10. So negative x plus 10. Or it can be written as 10 minus x. Either one of these is just fine. Now some of these expressions will have more than one set of parentheses, and that's where it becomes especially important to be very organized in how you go through these. So we've got two distributions to do. I'm going to distribute the 3 into these parentheses, producing 3x minus 3, and then positive 4 into these, giving us 20 minus 8x. Now we have two pairs of like terms to combine. 3x minus 8x, that's negative 5x, and then negative 3 plus 20 is 17. And you can write that as negative 5x plus 17 or 17 minus 5x. Your term number 11. Part A, distribute into both of these sets of parentheses, 4x plus 4 here, and 8x minus 6 on the right. Combining like terms, we have 4x plus 8x, that is 12x, and then 4 minus 6 is negative 2, 12x minus 2. And part B. First distribution, 3 times 2, it's going to be 6. So 6x there, plus 12. And negative 5 times 3 is negative 15. Negative 5 times negative x is positive 5x. Now combining like terms, 6x plus 5x, that's 11x, and 12 minus 15 is negative 3. So 11x minus 3. And now we've got some terms that are not connected to the parentheses. So here it's going to be really important to write the stuff down first that we're not going to touch in the first step. That way we don't forget it. All right, now I can go ahead and distribute twice. So negative 2 into these parentheses, that's minus 8. Negative 2 times negative 7 is plus 14x. And then over here, 3 times 2x, that is 6x, and 3 times 5 is 15. All right, now we've got sets of 3 like terms, 5, 14, and 6. Combine those to get 25x, and then we'll do 15 minus 10 is 5, minus 8 is negative 3. 25x minus 3. That brings us to your turn number 12. Part A. So we're keeping the 2x, not touching that, not touching the 12 on the first step. First step, we're going to distribute into these parentheses. So that is -3. -3 times -2 is +6. All right, make sure you're watching those signs real carefully. That's where I see most of the mistakes occur with signs. 5 times x, and then 5 times 3 is 15. All right, the x terms, 2, 6, and 5, that is 13. And then we've got 15, minus 12 is 3, minus 3 is 0. So there's no constants left, just 13x for that one. All right, now touching -x for 5. Now we'll distribute 7 in the first parentheses, that is -7x plus 14. And over here, -5 into these gives us -15x minus 10. So x terms, 15 and 7, that's -22. One more, -23x. And for the constants, 14 minus 10 is 4, plus 5 is 9. -23x plus 9. All right, now we're going to look at multiple parentheses, but it's going to be nested parentheses. Parentheses within parentheses. Now we're going to use the same kind of approach that we used before, working inside the parentheses as much as possible, inside the inner parentheses. Now, when we were evaluating expressions like this, we started inside these parentheses and worked our way up. We can't simplify anymore here. We don't have the like terms, so we can start by distributing into the inner parentheses, and that will remove the inner parentheses. Then we'll just be down to one set of parentheses. That's a nice way to simplify these right off the bat. All right, now we just have one set of parentheses. Now we could distribute from the outside. Now it's perfectly legitimate, but we have to do 3 multiplications that way. Might as well simplify first, then when we distribute, we only have to multiply twice. All right, that gives us 11x minus 12 on the inside. Now we'll distribute in. -33x. -3 times 12 is +36. -33x plus 36. Your turn, number 13. All right, we'll distribute on the inside first. I'm going to write down everything we're not going to touch. All that stays. All right, now I'll distribute 2 in and we get 10 minus 6x. Now we can combine like terms on the inside. 8x minus 6x is 2x, so that gives us 4 times 2x plus 10. And then finally distribute the 4 in, and that gives us 8x plus 40. All right, so this one, we're not going to touch the 8x to start. That's going to stay. We're not going to touch any of this. We're just going to distribute here first. Alright, 5 into these parentheses, that's negative 10x plus 5. Now we can combine these x terms. Right? Keep writing everything down every step. When I see students just do the distribution and leave this stuff off and then try to get the next step, that's where I see a lot of mistakes. Now we're distributing the 2 into these parentheses. So that's negative 12x plus 10. And finally, combining these like terms, 8x minus 12x is negative 4x. And 10 on the end. Your turn, number 14. So here's all the stuff we're not touching. And now we'll distribute. 4 into these parentheses, that is plus 8x minus 12. Now we can combine these together. Negative x, or negative 1 plus 8 is 7. So this turns into 7x minus 12. Now we can distribute. 4 into these parentheses. So that's 28x minus 48. Now we will combine these together, x terms, to get 21x minus 48. So when the problems get real complicated like this, I recommend taking a very structured approach. Take your time, write down everything you're not going to do first, and then do the operations. That way you'll be able to keep track of everything. All right, that's it for today. Have a great day.